Alright, let me guys give you a quick update what happened this Saturday. So this is where I started my day, Roadies, America's hometown truck stops. Let me just close this window. This guy is idling the engine. I'm not sure why you need to do that because it's only 30 degrees Celsius. Come on. But it was so hot actually today. Half of the time I walked without a t-shirt because they were getting dirty every half an hour. And basically I was dirty. Oh, and I didn't wear the baseball hat, and I think I burned the skin on the under the hair. So it hurts to touch. And then I banged my head maybe 10 times. I'm not joking. There's in the back there they have these like weights hanging off the top of the crane, and they're about like 6 feet 3 inches. So basically when you walk and of course you're looking down at something, you cannot see them, and those weights they hang like this, you know, out of your field of vision. I banged my head, and then the tire guy showed up later helping me, and he banged his head like 3 times. Now my nails are like this because it's all oil, even though I took a shower right now. But yeah, I got up in the morning and the future felt very bleak because I did not know, are they going to send me home? You know, are they going to take the crane away from me? What's going to happen? Will we be able to switch the axles? It was total uncertainty. I could not sleep. I woke up at like 5 o'clock and checked some movies on YouTube, answered some comments, and then I noticed that this Lambo's diesel, or Roadies diesel, was like $2.22 a gallon, and I only had like 50% of fuel, and so I was the same. I came with a Jeep. Again, I cannot unhook the fifth wheel on the truck, but on the Jeep it's much easier for some reason. So I bring the Jeep with me, and plus this way it kind of like protects the load, because if somebody tries to steal that crane on the trailer, like without the Jeep, you know, your truck will be way overloaded and you need hydraulics. So I just left the crane there again and came back here. But yeah, but basically, yeah, I talked yesterday to the crane guy, and he was like, he was not very happy, but I could tell by his tone. And I asked him if it's possible. Oh, and then on the next, he says, okay, we'll be there next day, which is today. And so I called him again at 8 o'clock. I was there at 8 o'clock, and the guy says, yeah, we're loading some trucks here. Once we're done, I'm gonna send somebody down there. And then he came himself. He looked at the problem. I explained to him. I said, this is what we need to do. I really need your help. You know, take this, disconnect the axles, take the spreader out, reconnect the axles, load the spreader on top of the neck. Like, sounds simple, right? And then this guy kneels down to look at stuff, and he notices some slight bends, you know, or curves, caves in the sheet metal. Basically what happened is that for some reason this machine went down on my booster, and it has like very little frame, like surprisingly for such a big piece. But in the middle it's all like sheet metal, you know. And right there they have 2 engines, and at the very bottom, right above that sheet metal, like, who would do it like this? It's crazy. They have a huge aluminum oil pan on the one engine, and then on the other engine. And so the one on the driver's side started leaking oil, and the crane guy, he took off once we took off the chains. Oh, and that's another thing, it took us probably an hour to undo the chains. And of course, you know, these guys, like, it's not their job, but you know, I cannot undo them. Like, I put the chains which may have contributed to this problem. I hooked up the top of the machine to the booster, and I did not want to do that, but I was running out of options where to hook up chains, and this is such a massive piece, you know, and I think that chain might have pulled the booster up, you know. But anyway, somehow those chains got so tight you cannot do anything with the binder, you know. And when I was a flatbed guy, of course, I used to carry like a piece of pipe, right, for binders, but usually you use them with snap binders, you know, those old style binders. All mine are modern binders with the handle, right, rotating, and I don't have that thing, and so I couldn't open it. Plus the handle is so narrow, you know. There's very little grip in there. And then the guy brought a pipe. So first they sent, so when they came down, right, so first they sent like a zoom boom forklift, you know, a telescopic, like a telehandler, and that guy can only handle 12,000 pounds, and he could not do much. But then they said, okay, we're gonna bring the big wheel loader. I'm guessing like it was like a 30 or 40 ton Volvo, like pretty big, bigger than Cat 930. Well, the next size, probably 950 or 960, something like that. But if it was a Cat, but it was a Volvo, but huge. Anyways, and this guy, they said, hey, somebody there has a pipe, you know, bring a pipe. And so they bring this pipe. All it did was we broke the binders, like that. A ring in there with teeth just snapped, because these binders are old. I think it's, I need some new binders, but it's not that easy to find the 1/2 inch binders. But yeah, these ones, I think I got them, like these were especially old. I remember I got them when I bought my Kaufman in 2014, and they still worked until now, you know. But once you put that huge bar pipe, right, and that little lip in there, like that dog, you know, the latch just breaks off, or it cracks the teeth on that ring. And so we broke both binders, and now, like, how do we unhook them now? All right, well, you need a torch. And you know, these guys, they're like kind of helping but not willing to go all the way out, you know. And I said, well, I don't have a torch. You guys have a torch? Like, I'm okay cutting the chain, because and then of course, once I did something like this happen to me, what I did is I undid the little pin on the hook, and then I was able to knock the pin out. But now I know that I wouldn't be able to do it, because there's so much weight, so much pressure. Like, those binders were practically singing, you know, with tension. And so then this big guy says, hold on, I got a plumbing wrench, you know, pipe wrench. And he brings that pipe wrench, and he puts it around the body of the binder, and to my surprise, it starts moving. You know, he hooked up a big pipe, and it took maybe, I don't know, 15-20 minutes for each binder, but finally they were off. And of course, I just had to throw them away, and so now I'm short one binder. Like, I have to come up with something for tomorrow. Like, the only one I have left is my 3/8 chain and binder. Like, I have enough chains, but I'm just short 1/2 inch binder. And I went inside here. Of course, they don't even have any binders. So I think I might need to use my 3/8 binder. At least that's not 5/16, it's 3/8. Maybe wrap the chain, like wrap the 3/8 a couple of times, do a loop with the 1/2 inch chain, because I already climbed on the top there and I drop them down. So anyway, so yeah, it took us a while to undo just the chains, and then we managed to it was not that complicated to disconnect the tandem, right? And actually, this is much faster than what happened to me in Las Vegas, because we didn't have to separate the axles, right? We just took that whole tandem group and unhooked it from the spreader, and they just parked it. There was no brakes, right? It doesn't roll. Once oh yeah, of course I disconnected all the hoses, and trying to remember which hose goes where, because they crossed. They're not the same. When the hail trailer did this, connectors at the top, they used different spots for different cables on each flip axle, so you cannot just, okay, that one goes on the left, this one goes on the right. No, each flip axle I have to trace and see which one is red, blue, or black, But it was not that difficult. So yeah, the tandem was gone, but that probably took us like an hour to separate the spreader bar. Okay, the spreader bar is gone, and my tires, all the way it sits on 8 wheels, 8 tires. I felt really sorry for the trailer, and it kept digging into the gravel. That road was very soft, and I tried to put some boards under. Like one guy said, hey, lift the front as high as possible and put the boards under in front of the first axle, and then put the front down, and this should take some weight off the back. And actually that's what I did when I came out at 7 o'clock there. I did that just to take the pressure off, just to save the trailer. But this trailer is massive, man. I'm telling you, like the frame is like this thick, but I'm gonna inspect it once I deliver, but I don't expect any issues. It's just this third-party Stinger couldn't handle the pressure of heavy haul trucking. And so yeah, and then yeah, we separated the Stinger, and they loaded on top of the neck of the trailer. I put a couple of boards in there. I'll show you pictures at the end. And after that, it probably took us like an hour and a half just to hook up. They tried to hook up all the pins on the axles. Didn't work because the trailer was sitting too low. For this to work, to hook up any flip axle, you must have lots of air in the trailer and no air in the flip axle, right? And usually that's how you connect them. But the problem with this was, because there's so much weight on the trailer and I cannot override the airbags. The airbags were very low, and so the flip axle was taller than required, than what's required, and it would be very difficult to climb in there. And one thing I was thinking about this. One thing I could have done was go climb under this machine, get dirty and oily. It would be like 2 feet space in there, and I could disconnect that right height control lever and adjust it higher, and then just remember to return it back to the same. But again, it's so tight in there, and I don't even know if it would work, because again, there's so much weight, and so yeah, so finally they hook up the top pins, and no matter what they tried, we cannot hook up the bottom pins. Like the flip axles were still kind of sitting like this, so the top connected, the bottom not. And they even tried, they took that big wheel loader, and the guy pushed with all his force on the rear of the trailer on top of the last axle and tried to make it go under the trailer, right, so that the bottom pins can be put in. Nothing. It's like a 50-ton loader could not do it. That's how much weight is on the trailer. And so finally they gave up. They said, okay, buddy, I talked to my boss. The boss says, is the truck still on site, or did it move away from the crane? And this guy says, I told him, yeah, it moved away from the crane. It's like 10 miles away. And he says, my boss said, then it's not your problem. Just and this guy says, call your dispatcher. I hate when they say that. They're like, what dispatcher? I said, you see my name on the door? It's my truck, my trailer. I don't have a dispatcher, but I do have a broker who told me this load was 24 feet long, right? And this guy didn't even apologize, you know? He didn't apologize. Like, it's normal. It's normal. And of course I should have checked the dimensions, but like, you know, I didn't have any reason to doubt the guy. The guy gives me dimensions, even though I never hold something so heavy. But you know, heavy stuff quite often is not that big, right? Because it's so much weight. And then I showed up there. Of course, it turns out there's a cab in the front, and in the back there's these feet. You can only use the feet for support. So anyway, these guys finally gave up. They got tired of helping me, you know. I tried offering them some money for beer. I said, guys, can I give you at least a few bucks? I had like 40 bucks in my wallet, US. And they said, no, that's fine. And they disappeared. And basically, before they disappeared, they said, just probably call a tire guy with the jacks. And so he can jack up the rear of the trailer, and if needed, he can deflate your tires to make the flip axles lower. And I said, okay. I said, I feel comfortable now because the top pins are in. I know that I'll come up with something. This is much easier now, you know. So the day was turning better. Oh, and by the way, about the oil leak, he took a bunch of pictures, and I said, what's gonna happen? Am I going to prison? He says, no, not yet. I said, are you guys gonna repair it here? And he says, no, when you deliver in Canada, they have a shop there, they have mechanics, everything, right? He says that they will look at it and they will assess the damage, and they will tell you how much it is. And of course I'm thinking, of course they will pass this to my broker, and the broker will deduct this from my paycheck. So basically, yeah, this trip is kind of like a financial disaster. And the permits are expensive, right? And so now I only have 4 axles in a row in the back. Like Illinois is okay. Illinois can give you up to like 100,000 pounds in the back, but Indiana, Michigan, they're not that, you know, lenient. But we'll see what happens. But anyway, so yeah, and I used the trackdown.com. And found a guy over there. It says 20 miles away, but of course on Google Maps it says 45 miles away. And the guy, I called one guy, he put me on hold for 20 minutes. I just hang up, and then I called the second guy in the list, and they were super nice. I said, they're gonna charge me, it's like 45 miles here and then 45 miles back. I explained to them what I need. I said, I don't have a flat tire, but I need a guy that has a couple of jacks, like at least 20 ton, and the guy who has portable air in case he needs to deflate the tires so he can reinflate them, right? And he says, okay, $265. And I said, is there like mileage on top of this? Like, is there going to be any surprises? Because, you know, you're going to have to be very careful with the mobile service. And this guy says, no, I'll give you a flat rate, $265. Okay. And so the guy shows up an hour later. Very nice guy, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Very polite, you know, knowledgeable. Of course, by the time he left, he was all covered in dust, in oil, because he had to crawl under the trailer. And what was difficult is it took us 3 hours. He came at 3, he left at 6. And they still charged me $265, so I gave him 20 bucks. I said, Steve, I really appreciate this. But basically, when he put the jacks under the axle on the trailer, even with some padding under them, like some boards under the jacks, they were pushing into the gravel, you know? Like the gravel, the jack was sinking. And so he raised it maybe by this much, and we tried this and that, and I said, okay, let's try to, he called his boss, and the boss says, take the air out of the tires. And so he took the air out of all eight tires, on the tandem. It moved forward, like the bottom pin moved forward 1 more inch, but still out of alignment. then he says, okay, how about if we take the wheels off in the back on the last axle? So we tried that, and of course the wheels are stuck. I had this problem before. It was super difficult to remove there was rust in there on the disc, you know. So it took him another, I don't know, 30-40 minutes to remove the wheels. Okay, so he removed the rear wheels, and it moved forward. That bottom eye moved forward another like 3/8 of an inch. And we tried the big pipe, we tried to move it, you know. I hooked up all the hoses, and then I think, what did he do? Yeah, once he and then he started no, wait, that's I put the air in after he was done. So anyway, so what we found is that even with the rear axle was sitting on the ground on the discs because he removed the wheels, but it did help. So no tire pressure, no air pressure in all the 8 axles, and the wheels were off from the last axle. And then I told him, I said, hey, let's try this. Take your jack and just put it under that, you know, the pin where the you know, eye and the pin at the bottom there, but just you know, leave the room for the eye to go in there. And those pieces, they are massive, you know, they're very thick, but that's part of the trailer. And so he started doing that, and maybe, I don't know, it moved half an inch, and we were able to put in first the passenger side pin, and then this pin, and then when he put the air back in, I finally was able to reinflate the tires, and I was real happy to see that the bulge on the first 2 tires disappeared pretty much. So finally this entire thing is supported by 4 axles, or, you know, 16 tires. And actually it looks so much better without that stupid booster, I'm telling you. You have to use them, right? You have to use them when you don't get full 80,000 on the quad. But I'm telling you, like, I don't like them. I don't like these boosters. And I talked to one guy, he says, hey, you're not the first one. He says people break boosters all the time. People snap pins, they snap pivoting point, like what I did. It happened to him as well. He snapped a rigid booster. It's like, it's super easy to overload them. And then when I look closer at the actual like what broke down there, I see that the weld was very superficial. You know, when they welded these things together, it was not all the way through, like where the plate was welded. You can see the weld only at the top, maybe like 1/3 of the plate, and the other 2/3 there's no weld. So I don't think they did a very good job. And so the plan now is I send them an email. I know they were upset about my critique, right? But I said, I know we had our differences, but this is your product, right? Can you help me out? Just let me know what I have to do. Is there maybe any warning that's, you know, at least can pay part of the damage? But when I look closely again and during the daylight at that spreader bar, the bigger part, the big part, the long piece is perfect. Nothing broke, nothing bent. The things that broke and bent is on this pivoting piece, this much smaller piece, and the kingpin itself. And so I'm pretty sure they can fix that. They can just cut those pieces out or give me a new, this pivoting piece with the kingpin. But the big piece is fine. Nothing bent there because the metal is much thicker. So yeah, it's not a very good design. Anyway, so they load it on the top. I hope I don't get a ticket because, of course, when you have an oversized load, they don't like it when you have one more piece on the trailer, right? You're not supposed to have 2 pieces when you're overweight. But I'll tell them it's, you know, it's an emergency. The trailer broke down. What am I supposed to do? Like, I'm from Ontario. I cannot just leave that piece in Illinois. And yeah, some guys were Gassing, yeah, I was near Newman, Illinois, Highway 36, US 36, and Illinois 49. That's where I was loading. That's where they're building these wind farms. And the broker still wants me to do the second load. So he has a second load. So after I deliver this one, hopefully he'll give me another load, the other load, another part of this machine. But it's much lighter. So I don't know. I have the Illinois permit, I have the Michigan permit, but in between them is Indiana, which I did not get. And I think Monday I will have to amend my Michigan permit because now I have a different configuration. I don't have the booster and I'm shorter. So now I'm about, what is it, 9 feet? 14 minus 5. Yeah, I'm 9 feet shorter because the spreader came out. The spreader was 14 feet length, but now the spacing is 5 feet, right? So 14 minus 5 is 9. So instead of 105 feet long, now I'm 96. Still need an escort in Michigan, but I don't remember if I need 2 or 1. But with the previous setup with 105 feet, I know I needed 2 escorts in Michigan. So anyway, and I still didn't order the permit for Ontario because I need a single trip permit. But Ontario is good. They can give you lots of weight if you ask nicely, and some people are reporting that you can wait like 10 business days for a permit, but I know last time I only waited 3 days because it helps when you have an annual permit, because they ask you on this single trip application, they ask you, do you have an annual permit? And if yes, you write down the number, and so they already know my configuration, right? They know my tires, they know all this stuff, and they worked with me before. But yeah, I'm gonna do that Monday, and yeah, that might take 2, 3, 5 days. So I guess I'll be sitting somewhere in Michigan waiting for the Ontario permit. But like I mentioned in the beginning, so the day ended up much better than it started. So the spreader is separated, the spreader is on the top of the trailer, all the wheels are connected. I just need to add one more binder tomorrow, one more chain. I think it sits now pretty good. So at least the trailer is not broke, just that third-party booster, which I'm pretty sure is fixable. So that's what's happening. So yeah, tomorrow morning I'm gonna go back to the truck, hook up with my Jeep, raise the trailer, because then all the chains can get loose, right? Recheck all the chains and put that last binder, and I have to tighten one more chain on the other side, and that should be enough for this, and just start driving very, very slow towards Canada. And from here to my destination in Ontario, it's 600 miles. It's gonna be a very long trip. Thanks for watching.